Hi, everyone, and welcome to THL 501, that is Interpreting the Old Testament for Community Transformation. I am your professor, Dr. Jeffrey P. Garcia, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information about this class. First, the class is intended, generally speaking, to try to give you the tools and the ability to read the Old Testament, interpret the Old Testament, but also use that understanding to teach and navigate how we apply that message to our current circumstances. Each class has a particular theme, and the theme for this class is simply justice. Now, you will see that sometimes I use the word justice and then I use the word righteousness. In Hebrew, justice and righteousness actually are the same word. And that's part of what we will do in class. Because justice is a theme that runs through almost every book of the Old Testament, we will stop at places in the Old Testament and try to gather what justice means in that particular context. That will require of us not only talking a little bit about language, but also talking a little bit about the world of the Bible. Because the world of the Bible is something that we are separated from about 2,000 to 4,000 years, depending on where you're at in the Old Testament, right? So we need to think about how are people reading that text in that particular world. So this course has really sort of two parts of it that deal with justice. The first part is the justice of God, or God's justice, and how it plays out both in the narratives of the Bible, in the prophets, and in wisdom literature. The second part of the class is how justice is expected of God's people, and the idea that God's people are intended to embody God's justice in a way that changes over time. So the kind of justice you may see being practiced in Genesis is not necessarily the justice that you'll see practicing in Isaiah, although they are still interconnected. And our journey for this semester will be to look at all the layers of justice as they appear, to watch and see justice make its way as a theme throughout the Bible. So hopefully we can see the beauty of the Old Testament both as a thing in and of itself, the Old Testament Hebrew Bible, but the beauty of all of its parts and the manner in which justice runs through them. So the hope of this course in the end is, again, the overall hope of the course in general. Our theme is justice, but the hope is that you will gain the tools and be able to facilitate your own understanding of these particular texts and be able to not only apply it in your life, your current circumstances, but also the circumstances of the church at large, whether that be your community, whether that be your friends, or whether that be the larger community in front of us. The hope is, again, to be able to give you a way forward in understanding and applying justice as it appears in the Old Testament.